Welcome to my podcast. This is Mary Turderoff, and you are listening to Jump In with Mary. Today, we have founder of Mary E. Boccia Fitness. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Actually, she is known as Coach Mary. So listeners, this woman is shredded. And not only she's shredded, she is beautiful. She's not a butterface. She's like the full package. It would make any woman super jealous of her. But since she's so relatable,
Mary.
She's so relatable because despite her amazingness, she drinks a lot of wine, eats pasta, and eats a disgusting amount of Mexican food.
Hey, Mexican food's so good.
So she's just like this relatable, badass chick. Welcome to the podcast, Coach Mary.
Thanks, Mary. I'm so happy to be here. I'm actually just like, I've never done this before, and I'm feeling like making sure I'm talking to the microphone, number one, making sure my hair's not fucked up, number two, making sure my tits are nice and high, three.
Your tits are beautiful, as is everything
Apparently
else.
It's videoed from the waist up, Mary.
Yeah, this is going to be on YouTube. But listen, we're here to pop your podcast cherry.
Here we are.
Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to say 4 phrases. You're going to tell me what they all have in common.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm already starting to sweat. Like, I feel like I'm in first grade right now. We got to be careful. We can't show the sweat stains right now.
Yeah, well, we can edit it out. But unclench and listen, okay? Let's get moving and grooving. Turning and burning. Nobody cares. Keep working. And I'm going to bite your ass.
Oh, my God. These are all things that I say.
All things that you say during sessions with me. I mean, I don't know what you say to other clients, but
I mean, it's pretty much, I kind of like the biting of the ass, or like I usually grab the hair sometimes if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I really like grabbing the sports bra from behind to make sure you're exactly doing what I want you to do.
Yes.
Posture. It's all about posture.
Yes, you guys, Coach Mary's training style is off the hook, super intense, but I love that. Like, you're handsy, no holding back. I mean, I love it.
Well, you can't really, I mean, when you're training someone, especially, I mean, you really can't be hands off. And I've always seen people in the industry kind of take like a back seat to that kind of spotting. And I think that comes from my gymnastics background, because you had to spot everything. If they were not doing it technically correct, you had to go in there and fix it yourself. I mean, they were kids. It's different working with adults than it is with children. There's like a little bit more boundary, I guess you can say, when you're working with adults in general. And, you know, some people feel uncomfortable, but I think at the end of the day, it's the way that I'm trying to teach someone to make sure that you're doing it safely and effectively. And that's, I mean, the bottom line. You don't want to hurt yourself when you're working out.
Absolutely.
So give me your body.
Yes, I know. And you're very committed to it. And you mentioned being a gymnast. So I want to jump into that because we're all moms. And I didn't grow up with like an athletic background, but we all have friends who have kids and they're really, really invested in a sport, or they're trying to go pro. And you were in that world. You have students that were in that world training. Sometimes it's almost gut-wrenching to watch because the kids of some of my friends, like, that, let's say they're trying to go pro in tennis, like, they have no lives.
They don't.
So was that your upbringing? Tell us a little bit about that. Were you trying to go pro in gymnastics? Did your mom push you into it? Give us a summary.
No, so I definitely wasn't trying to go pro. But I mean, I think I always reference gymnastics as a cult. Because it really kind of is. And I mean, I honestly think it's actually any sort of like high level sports, anything that you get into, when you get to a certain point of commitment, you have to be committed. And I mean, the downside of gymnastics is because obviously in my opinion, it's one of the most dangerous, most challenging sports there ever was. I mean, you have soccer, you're running like 6 to 8 miles, you have endurance and cardiovascular strength. I mean, the most gut-wrenching part of gymnastics is the mental strength that you have to have. So that's why you see so many athletes when they're young, you know, you could throw a 4-year-old into a double front into a pit. They have no fear. But once you start getting into adolescence, you know, puberty hits, there's a lot of emotions that have to do with that. So it's like all of a sudden you look at a beam that's like 3 inches wide. You're like, wait, you want me to like do a tuck on this beam? Like,
wow.
And like land it here. So when you see like, especially like girls or women in the Olympics and men too, I mean, no one really understands the intensity that goes behind what they're actually doing. And you're working so many hours a week to get one chance to do something really well. And I think that really kind of, I always say anyone who's been involved in gymnastics, it really kind of trains them as like a human, like later on, like the willpower, the work ethic that you have to have, the dedication to something. It's like when you set your mind to something, you have to follow through or it could be really bad at the end of the day. But I mean, a little bit of my background, both my parents were collegiate level gymnasts.
Wow.
So then I was kind of like, everyone says I was like bred into gymnastics. I was like out of the womb doing like little flips and like eating chalk under the bars when my mom was coaching. I know. And there's so many pictures of me, like a little kid just sitting there in front of like all these other high level gymnasts because my mom was a traveling choreographer.
Yes.
My mom was a dancer as well as a gymnast. So she got into dance and that was her thing.
But was she really pushing it on you?
I mean,
or is it a combination?
I mean, I have to say, as an adult, I look at it, I'm sure it was like also a financial decision. They didn't have to pay for me being in gymnastics. They were already there.
She was training you?
So my mom was at a portion training me, but I was with other coaches. She was in the gym. So I mean, when my dad was in public education, so then my dad, during the day, he was gone. My mom was home. So it ended up working out well. And then she just took Kristen and I, my sister, to gym with her, to work with her. So then we worked out and she got to work and it was all for free. So it just made it really easy for our family to just put us in gymnastics. And it's almost like, it's like a rubber band. The further and further I pulled away from it, the more I wanted to come back.
Why?
So, I mean, there's something about the sport. There's something about even the smell of the gym that smells like feet. It does. I've never smelt it in my life, but everyone's like, how do you deal with this? I'm like, I don't know. I just don't smell it anymore.
Well, now that you mentioned the family connection, does a part of it feel like home?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And and also I love working with kids. I mean, I always thought I was going to be a teacher. Like always, because like my dad was a teacher, my sister's now a teacher.
I mean, you are a teacher now.
I am a teacher
to adults.
of fitness. Oh my gosh,
and with adults. No, I mean you're teaching adults, but you mean kids. You wanted to work with kids.
Well, yeah, I wanted to work with kids, and I was like, well, what was the best thing for me? Because it was very hard for me to envision myself working at like a 9 to 5 behind a desk all day. I have too much energy, and I have too much. I feel like just passion in life. I mean, they're not saying that people who work behind a desk 9 to 5 don't have passion behind what they're doing. It's just something that I didn't foresee myself for me.
Right. It wouldn't work for you.
Exactly. I don't know what I would be doing. I don't know.
Right.
But I was like, okay, I could get the best of both worlds. I can be active and moving and enjoying that aspect of my life. You know, also teaching fitness to small children. And then I get to work with kids.
Absolutely.
I mean, definitely at a different level. I mean, I was with some of these higher level athletes for hours on end. And now even as a parent, the amount of trust those parents had in me was, I mean, I can't even express in words how much gratitude I have for that because I can only hope that my son has someone like that later on. I mean, these kids were dropped off for like 6 or 7 hours a day with me.
Is that what training for a child professionally is? I mean, they go to school or do they go to school? Do they do homeschooling?
So some kids did homeschooling and some kids definitely did go to school. I mean, I started, so when I first started coaching gymnastics, obviously I wasn't coaching high level. I had to work my way up to that. Like we all do, right, everyone? Work your way up.
Yes.
You know, so I started at the bottom, like as a recreational coach. And then I actually taught 2-year-olds for so long. And they actually were my favorites.
Wait, 2-year-olds with intentions to train pro?
Well, I mean, when you get to preschool, or when you get to preteen, kids are getting plucked at like 4 years old.
You're kidding me.
And they're coming a minimum of 5 hours.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Pause.
Yes,
you're
I'm
a mom.
pausing.
And I'll get out of your gymnastics brain. Quick question.
Yes.
As a mom of a child, so now you said a 2 to 4-year-old practicing 5 hours a day.
5 hours a week, my darling.
Oh,
not
a week.
Day.
I'm sorry. I thought you said a day. I thought you said a day. 5 hours a week.
5 hours
So like
a
an hour a
week.
day on a weekday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my
I heard
gosh.
5 hours a day. I was going to say, well, but then they do that at 7 or 8 when they're going
they definitely.
pro.
If you are in a higher elite track, then yes, you are not going to school. If you're on an elite track, so the gym that I worked at, we were a collegiate track. So it was like I don't want to say Like
Collegiate track meaning what? Prepping for college?
Yes, prepping for college gymnastics. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying it was attainable by any means, but like if you're doing elite, you're probably working, like it's a full-time job. That's what you're doing.
Elite is.
Yes.
Collegiate is a little lesser than that.
A little less.
Okay, got it.
Then
a little less intense.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still working out about 6 days a week at like 30 hours, 28, 30, 32 hours a week plus privates.
Okay. That really makes me think of body image issues. I actually don't know any gymnastics, people in gymnastics world, only you. So, I've had issues. I think the average woman has issues with how they look at some point in their lives, with their relationship with food. It changes when you're young. It changes again after you give birth. Is it common? Is it part of the deal? Did you guys have to deal with that? Did you deal with that?
Oh,
You're looking in a mirror all day. It's aesthetic. It's an aesthetic thing.
It is. So here's the thing with the food, because, as an adult, you always have a choice. You understand that you have a choice. You go through your day, you have, what the right choice is, what the wrong choice is, and it is your choice, again,
Right.
to make that decision. Now, as a child, it's very, very different. So when I was working with younger girls, when my athletes were pretty young, that wasn't really an issue. I mean, they're burning so many calories. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're always teaching. It's not about talking about what they can and cannot eat. It's about educating them on what is going to fuel their body better than, what's going to fuel you better? A bag of chips or a turkey sandwich? Probably the turkey sandwich. Or apples versus Cheetos. It's always just educating them when they're young enough, because they usually use those tools later on as they get older or more mature in gymnastics in general.
And are they receptive at that young age?
Yeah, they love it, because then you make games out of it. You talk about their snacks when they come to gymnastics. Okay, who's got apples today and who's got blah, blah, blah today.
Nice,
and then
nice.
You always communicate with the parents. I think parents, especially when the kids are younger, have a lot to do with those decisions that are being made. What's bought at the supermarket? What is actually part of the daily when you're feeding them breakfast? Are you giving them a healthier breakfast to give their brain energy for the day, or their body energy for the day?
Right.
So that was so important to me. And I think because it was so important to me, it was so important for me to educate parents and athletes in the same breath. But then what got more challenging is when these lovely young ladies became teenagers, because they're in high school and their bodies start changing. Hormones are changing. And
some of them are gaining weight.
Some of them are gaining weight because they're starting their period or whatever they got going on there. Or, and also it gets harder when they're teenagers, because they could be having things going on at home. You don't know that.
That's right.
That causes a lot of stress. So then, you have days where I had athletes just crying. Crying.
And you have to deal with it.
And I have to deal with it. But I have taught a lot of my women, because I'm so tired of the dialogue of that just women are just based off emotion. You're based off emotion. Well, you know what? Fuck that. Because at the end of the day, a young female needs to be heard and she needs to be understood. So what I trained a lot of my girls to do, if you're going to come at me and you're crying, I validate that emotion. I'm validating you 100%, but I need you to take a deep breath. I need you to step away. I need you to figure out why you're crying, and let's work on a solution together. So you're coming to me with, hey, Coach Mary, I'm feeling really upset today. I don't know why, but I think what's going to make me feel better is if I take a break for 5 minutes.
I love that. And by the way, that's applicable for all people.
All people.
I would do that with my little boy.
I'm going to do it with Finn.
Yes.
Well, he's a nightmare right now. I mean, I love him, but he's crazy.
He's so little and cute. Well, no, that's a great insight about our relationship to food, kids' relationship to food. And speaking of which, I have a shocker. Mary, imagine living with Coach Mary. Well, there is a man out there in the world that does live with her. Guess what happened to his pantry recently? He woke up in the morning, got his cup of coffee, opened the pantry, and the pantry is empty.
Empty.
Because Mary, his beautiful, lovely wife, wiped out the pantry and said,
there was no shit allowed in this house
You are going on a diet.
We are going on it. You are on a cut. No more food for you.
It was a unilateral decision, but nonetheless. So, okay, going to the pantry. I have a pantry. And it's funny, when you told me that story, I think everybody listening has a pantry. And what happens is you go to Trader Joe's, you wear, and you're like, the snack looks good. But then the box is really large and it accumulates, and it gets so out of control.
Yes.
So what do you suggest? I mean, that day you did like a full wipeout, right?
I felt so bad for John. I really did.
John is your husband.
John is my husband.
Okay. So why did you feel
because this
emaciated and starving?
Because, I think
it is tough to be married to somebody who's so shredded and disciplined.
Well, okay, I am very disciplined. And but like we all do, I definitely I had 2 glasses of wine last night.
Right.
I enjoy my life.
You enjoy life.
Because you really only get one life at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like physical fitness is my whole life and has been my whole life.
And it's your job. It's your
my
career.
job
Yeah.
too. So I'm very fortunate to be able to call that my job.
Yes.
I'm very lucky. So
yeah, passionate about it too.
I know. And John, this poor man. And it's always like, he goes and buys ice cream. I'm like, why did you buy that?
Yeah.
Because if it's in my house, I'm going to eat it. Like, I don't have self-control when it's in my house, especially like certain things, like tortilla chips.
Right.
don't tell me to live without tortilla chips. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, everybody has that one thing.
Everyone has their vice.
You're saying if you're really serious about changing your lifestyle, you have to just dump it out or not buy it. That's what you're saying,
That's
right?
100% right. So then with John, whom I love so much, but I went into the pantry and took out every little thing. I was like, any
John.
cookies that John bought, they were gone. Not that I really eat very many cookies, but
Right.
I mean, like,
No, it adds
no
up.
cookies, no chips, no pretzels. What else did I throw away? I mean, I felt bad about throwing it away because I hate wasting food. But I was like, I need to make a decision because unless I like take that bag of chips and like I've done this. I've taken a bag of chips and I've ran it under cold water to make sure that they're destroyed so I won't eat them.
Wait, then you put it back?
No, and then I throw it away.
Oh, okay. Oh, and now I'm having a visual of you going back into the trash can. Is that why you wet it? Going back and regretting it and saying, I'm going to have just one out of the trash bin.
Maybe, Mary.
Wow, Mary, thank you for this intimate visual of you digging through a trash can.
But you know what? John, for as much as I love him, I'm really not seeing much difference because I think that he's stowing shit at his office. No, like you had said that. I'm like, there's $20. He has a junk drawer in his office. And I'm like, wow.
You know what? I said that because
I can't.
That happened in my family. My dad is a major snacker. I grew up, you and I being friends has a lot of interesting dichotomies. You grew up in an experience-based family, very fit. Your parents were in that field. I grew up in a very like love is centered around food. My mom is an amazing cook, and my dad really struggled with weight. Our whole family. So when you told me this John story, I swear I initially thought because my mom had put my dad on a diet like when I was a teenager, but he kept gaining weight. And then one day we went to, it was like, this is like the good old days, the Betty Crocker days. My mom said, we're going to go visit dad at work. So we went to his office and we were looking for a pencil or pen and we pulled his drawer out.
Oh,
it was infested with nuts, chips, peanuts. I don't know, just like junk, right? And then I closed it.
Oh my God. You're like, I didn't see anything. If I didn't see it, it didn't happen. If I didn't see it, it didn't happen.
And I imagine that John has slowly accumulated that junk drawer at work.
John.
But, he's going to be okay.
He'll be fine. Everyone, don't feel bad for John. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He's happy. He has a beautiful wife and child. So
thank
all
you.
good. But that is a very relatable story. Okay, so you have become a mom. It's been a year or so. So there's been like a lot of change. Talk to me a little bit about that because you have a big career. Your career got larger almost during and after you had him. You are founder of your own company, of your own fitness program. You tailor every single session to the core to your clients. And I want to say, just having seen your clients before and after, what's beautiful is there are trainers out there that have the same darn routine. I've seen it. I've felt it. I've worked with others. It's the same. The next person comes in, it's the same. Your clients, first of all, aren't all like women in their late 30s like me or whatever. You have clients of different shapes, sizes, age groups, nationalities. Like you are really tailoring it to the whole person, not a one size fits all. Now, coming to my long-winded question. You have a child, a household, like there's a lot going on. How has it been to be an owner of a business during the shitstorm I call life and being a mom. Like Finn fell the other day and you had to kind of,
oh, that was terrible.
Get it and then you're like, you have to get it together because Monday.
And John wasn't even home.
Yeah, I know. And I was like,
I'm not even going to that. I'm not even going to that story, Mary.
We're going to cut him some slack.
We'll cut him some slack.
We're going to cut him some slack. But the point was like you dealt with a child being sick or having fallen, etc. And then like a lot of moms, like, on Monday you have to show up for training or you have to go to court. Like it's a mind bender. How has it changed? Did you think before you had him like, this can't be so hard? Because I thought I went through law school. I do X, Y, and Z. How hard can this be? And then I had the kid and I felt like I got hit by a bus.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, but in all honesty, I didn't even want kids.
I didn't either.
Really, for a very long time.
Why not? Tell me. I want to know the answer because I wrote an article about why a lot of women don't want kids now. So why? What was your reason?
My personal reason was, it was almost a selfish reason because I didn't want it to infringe on my life. I really enjoyed my free time. I enjoyed being able to work out when I wanted to work out.
And you're a lover of life. You're very adventurous.
Yes, I'm very spontaneous. I loved traveling. So, I mean, John and I have been to so many countries. I've been to a lot of countries. So, I mean, for me, it was like, I don't know how that is going to impinge on my life. But as John and I were talking about it, I mean, it was a very oh, now we're pregnant kind of moment.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Here we go.
Here we are. But honestly, I mean, I never would ever change that decision ever in my life. I love my baby so much, definitely more than most people.
I know. You so love that child. It's amazing.
Yes, and he just comes with us. He does everything that we do. Obviously, it makes it harder. Everything is harder.
Like what? Like a hike? Like you put him on those big
He's going on a hike.
backpacks.
We're going traveling. He's going on he's been on like 7 planes already. We haven't been to another country yet. Yes, wait. No, I don't remember now. No, not yet. But I mean.
But you do like Mammoth, Big
Bear
with him.
We've done everything. We do everything that we would have done normally in life. He just comes along. So, I mean, that was one aspect. But I mean, how this whole situation though, like having a child and then a family and running a business, I almost feel like, I mean, it's fun. I love my life. I can't complain about my life. Sometimes I do feel sad that I spend so much time away from Finn because I don't have that much time. So, I mean, most people are able to balance that a little bit more. Sometimes I'm at the mercy of my client schedules. I can't, everyone thinks, oh yeah, like you can make your own schedule. I mean, sometimes yes, but then sometimes not.
Sometimes no.
Not really.
I know.
So that's part of that scheduling thing. And then also being able, and as a mom, you're the one who's getting the diaper bag ready, whether
just how it is.
My husband is great. I'm not saying he takes on so much, and I think that he does take on more than like the average bear for sure.
But mom is always mom. Like
mom is always mom. So I mean, and then my heart pulls at that a little bit, but then I'm also pulling on like I don't want to lose myself either. So then here is my dilemma.
Tell me.
Well, my dilemma sometimes, it would just sound so stupid, might sound really stupid to other people, but it's like, look, I have an hour. Do I go work out or do I do I go look at my kid? And,
not stupid, very relatable.
But 90% of the time, I'm not going to lie, I choose my workout.
Which makes you a better mother.
Yes.
Because I'll tell you, like I learned that the hard way. I think we all learned that. And I wasn't doing it. So you actually taught me after child number 3, I never had a fitness lifestyle, a true fitness lifestyle. I would go walk 1 day a week and I thought that was it. But after I met you, I realized this is a lifestyle and I'm better for it. And it actually releases a lot of anxiety, like physically releases it from the body. It drips out. I don't know how else to explain it, but I wasn't doing that before I met you. And I had my first son. And I remember like what you're saying doesn't sound bad. And this is why I think so. I built all this resentment. All the times you don't go, it's like a pyramid of resentment, right? You're like, oh, I shouldn't choose working out over my kid. That's so wrong. And then pyramid of resentment. And all of a sudden, you're dropping atomic bombs on your family because you are so anxious and resentful.
That has happened.
Well, and it will continue to happen.
Irish Italian blood, Mary.
Oh my gosh, let's talk about you being Irish Italian.
Well, actually, I'm like a huge mutt, but I'm mostly Irish, and I got like the Mediterranean. I got a lot of feisty shit.
You got and on top of all that feistiness, sometimes when we're training, you bust out a New York accent.
Oh my God, I don't know where it comes from, Mary. I don't know if I can do it on cue. I can't.
That's the thing. You can't do it on cue.
I can't do it on cue.
And you happen to do it when I'm lifting the heaviest dumbbell of the set, and you start saying,
I don't know. It's probably like fuck this shit up, Mary. I don't even know.
And I start laughing, and I want to laugh, but I'm in pain because I'm holding the dumbbell.
Oh my God, I always feel like, I don't even like him that much. What's his name? Erwin McGregor. No, that's an actor.
I don't know who that is.
What's the guy that walks around like this? You know, he like flops his arms.
Not
like, oh
Colin
my God.
Farrell.
No.
Somebody from New York?
No, he's an MMA fighter. Okay, anyone actually listening to this who actually knows fighters is probably laughing at me right now. He made it like a whiskey or whatever, but he's like, he talks, I don't know, I can't even do it on
or
cue.
Irish accent?
No, he's Irish, but I can't do it on cue now. And everyone's
okay, well, we'll let it like surface, but a few times when you had said New York or water, the accent just flared up.
It gets in there. It gets in there.
And you have the hand motion. What is the fascination with New York? Another difference between us.
Oh my God, Mary, you're so funny.
I have to say, and you have a New York tattoo on your hand. It was really funny. I know.
Oh, I was drunk when I got that tattoo.
Were you?
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, was that your first one? I am so scared of tattoos.
No. My first one was the flower on my ankle.
Okay, so that was intentional.
18. Yes, that was intentional.
Okay.
And then I got my Rocco tattoo.
The dog. Her dog.
My dog. Rest in peace. I miss my Rocco baby.
But wait, okay. Did you wake up and regret it?
No. But
I really drunk? Like you don't remember it?
No, I like remember going into the tattoo shop. So it was like me and my friend at the time. We were in New York. Mary, this was the best New York trip of my life.
Tell me. Sell it to me.
It was 4 days of just pure bliss. It was like her friend. So the guy she was dating at the time, oh my God, was his friend? It was his friend's 30th birthday, and he was throwing a huge party. And her guy that she was seeing, he's like, do you guys want to come to New York? And you want to come to the party? We're like, yeah, don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah.
And then my whole family's from New York. So it's like, it really like hits home with me. And then at the time, my cousin was living in Brooklyn, which wasn't like the Brooklyn we know now. It's definitely a lot more gentrified now. But so we were walking around Brooklyn like, oh shit. Like, cause we stayed with him. We saw him and his girlfriend at the time, which I think he's now married to. Okay. And it was just such a fun experience. Cause we were literally, the place we stayed at was an Airbnb. Girl, we were sharing a room in this one apartment. It smelled like kimchi, the whole, oh my God. But you know what? I look back at it, I'm like, this was so much fucking fun.
I know, but now, it's funny. I have those moments too in life. But now you're like older, your mom If you walked into a building that smelled like
I would not be staying in a building that smelled like kimchi.
Wouldn't feel nostalgic.
Nope. Probably would have been like, what the fuck was I thinking?
But
we were just hammered the whole fucking time. We didn't know the difference.
But it is beautiful. That's the beauty of being wild and free and nostalgic. I get that's so. But tell me, explain to me, someone who's gone to New York once. I don't have the experience you do, and man, I'm not gonna lie, I had not a great experience. It was freaking overwhelming. I'll tell you my perspective, and then you're gonna tell me like what the magic is that everyone's talking about. Because I feel like everyone talks about the New York magic. I don't see it. I want to see it. So when I went there, I went there 20 years ago.
I will try to convince you, Mary.
I just want to know, like, what is the magic? People, first of all, are so freaking aggressive. Like, I remember just walking down the street and somebody full on like stepped on my foot and elbowed just walking by, and they don't give a shit. They just keep on.
Don't.
Like, they don't even look at you.
Nope.
It's fast. There's a hustle and bustle.
Yep.
There's an intensity. Like, you feel like you have to hold your breath and you can't let it go.
Yes.
That's what I felt the whole time. The culture part was beautiful. That is one thing I really enjoyed. The plays, the art.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable.
But the vibe, very fast. And you're a nature girl. Like
I love camping, hiking, all that stuff.
Well, that's the thing. You're like, it's like this book. They have Little Blue Truck Goes to the City. If you have a kid, you have.
Oh my God, have all those little blue truck. Mary. There's like 12 of them. How do they have 12 of these books?
It shows Little Blue Truck in New York, and it's a picture of all these tall like skyscrapers, and he's a little blue truck. That's how I felt. It was like, you can't even see a tree. So what's the magic?
Mary, I'm dying that you just referenced yourself.
I know.
You just compared yourself to the
I am Little Blue Truck. I was Little Blue Truck.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. A woman of 3 beautiful babies
is coming out as Little Blue Truck. But tell me, what's the magic there? What do you feel when you go there?
I think it's, number one, it's nostalgic. It's nostalgic, number one. We were going there every single year since I was born. My whole family is there.
Yeah, your life is
there. So, I mean, the city, and I personally, for as much as I love outdoors and slow life, I mean, I could live in Hawaii, but I mean, I could live anywhere, honestly. I'm very adaptable. But the city, it's just that energy. Because I have naturally a lot of energy.
So it's energy.
It's the energy. And honestly, I love the fuck you mentality.
Do you?
If someone elbows me on the fucking sidewalk and because they're fucking getting somewhere, then get somewhere. You obviously need to fucking go. I ain't gonna be in your fucking way because in my life, don't get in my way.
Yeah, I love that. I like that.
Don't get in my way.
I'm buying it.
And it's like, and like you were saying, the culture, like the food, the drinks, and you can learn so much in New York. If you think about how beautiful New York is, I mean, look how many people were immigrants to this country that went through New York. The history there is unbelievable. So it's like my family, went to Ellis Island. They went through the whole system. They came into New York. My grandpa was there. The New York senator, an attorney. Like they built something from nothing.
As immigrants.
And that's also, I mean, it happens, all around the country now. I mean, technically we're all immigrants.
Right.
But I mean, it's like in that particular state in general, and that's why it's so thrilling because you think about when you walk the streets of New York, this is probably one of, I mean, I'm not a history buff. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not either.
Totally
Don't
could
worry.
be wrong. Whoever's quoting me and telling me, this didn't happen in 1905.
Yeah. No.
But I'm just saying if you walk the streets of that city, you're like, man, people have been coming here way, way longer than we can even fathom and then built this entire city from nothing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And how much even my whole family knew a lot of people in the 9/11 tragedy. So I mean, it's like,
were they there? They were living there?
No, they weren't living there. At that point, my parents were the black sheep that moved to California.
But the rest of your parents' family,
everyone else was there, but a lot of them are on Long Island at that time. But I mean, it's like they knew so many people, and how the city just came together. It was unreal. I don't feel like we get that in LA.
That's
like
true.
That camaraderie, that community feel. I mean, like in New York, even though there it is.
You just did it.
Well, though it's a hustle and bustle mentality, at the end of the day, if you ask your neighbor for a cup of sugar, they'd probably give you a cup of sugar. They might tell you to fuck off after, but they'll still give you the sugar.
You know what? This is the first time anyone has given me an explanation about New York that I am going to buy into.
Good.
And I can now see how you have applied that get out of my way mentality in a very positive way.
In a positive, no one's doing it on purpose to be an asshole.
Right.
That's what you have to remember. It's like, especially in New York, it's like everyone has their purpose. Everyone is doing something they need to do.
Absolutely.
It's like, and especially in LA, I feel like people can be so tiptoe around this and tiptoe around that. And I have to admit, I mean, I was like that for a long time when I was younger, of course, because you start building the security with yourself. It's all those insecurities. I feel like LA is so full of insecurity.
Yes, it is.
It's always about insecurity. And then New York, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't care what you say.
So you're this New Yorker badass in LA, and I was just thinking, LA is so different. There's a lot of sugarcoating, and there are a lot of people who sign up for training. They want to look LA, and they will pay the money to look LA to come train with somebody like you who's very well known in the community and someone who does the work. But they're not seeing any progress.
Yes.
And they feel gypped. They're paying you X hundred of dollars a week, and they're like, you're responsible for me looking 30 pounds smaller. I mean, what do you say to that? Can you, if you work out 5 days a week, and you're not looking the way you look, whose fault? I mean, what do you say about that?
If you're working out 5 days a week for an hour doing strength training, I would hope you're seeing results. I mean, I don't have any clients that come 5 days a week because that's also very expensive, like you were saying.
Expensive, and you train really intense.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but
I mean, the food, look, it's LA. We go out to eat all the time.
90%.
So people come to you, but then I'm a victim of this too. If I go to eat at a restaurant twice a week, I will gain a couple of pounds because even if you're ordering fish, it has salt, it's saucy,
Butter.
you're having a drink, butter. So you really like have to essentially cut out restaurant life if you want to see a change. Would you? That's how I feel. But some people say no. You can still go out a lot to restaurants and like really restrict what you're ordering.
So here's the thing, Mare. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to fitness, number one is always going to be food, but it depends on how drastic you want to make that change. So like for me, I am very much about attainable weight loss, attainable fitness goals. I am not a quick fix. If you want to come to me and you're like, I want to lose 30 pounds in 5 days, I'm be like, well, that's not going to work for me. So have a nice life because that's not going to work. You know, it's about fundamentals, number one. And number two, it's like if let's say someone comes to me 1 day a week and is not seeing any change for a year, you're coming to me 1 day a week.
Right.
I'm not changing your body in an hour a week. You're changing your body with the other 23 hours you have in that day. Like,
good point.
I love that you are making, but not saying that as in like you have to come to a trainer more than 1 day a week.
Right,
if that's
not possible for some people.
Exactly. If that works for you, that's financially what that works, then that's fine. You're learning basic fundamentals. You're getting your strength training down, which is extremely important. Even as you age, it helps with your bone density, all the wonderful things. Lift weights, everyone. Lift weights, please.
Apparently it does change your body after 35. I'm learning.
Oh, yes. And then also women are a lot harder. You go into premenopausal, your hormones start changing. It makes it harder to hold and retain muscle.
For women.
Wow. Men just have it so easy.
I know.
Sorry, men. But I mean,
after
or
35.
the anatomically men.
Right.
Whatever you associate yourself with. But I mean,
but genetically for women.
But genetically for women, it's definitely more challenging. But if you're coming, again, even 3 days, you could work out every day till you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
But if you eat like shit, it's not going to work for you. And now when I say eat like shit, I mean like you're having hamburgers and hot dogs. You're eating processed foods. And I'm saying like, but also preface all this by saying you can have one hamburger a day and you'd still be fine. You'd still be losing weight. So it's not every calorie is equivalent. You have 100 calories of potato chips or 100 calories of strawberries. It's not the same. You're still eating 100 calories, but that's processed food's not doing anything for your body. So, I mean, if you think about nutrition like that, it's like someone could have McDonald's once a day for the rest of their life and they're still going to lose weight because it's all about caloric deficit anyway. You want to lose weight? If you just want to lose weight, then go on a caloric deficit. If you want to build muscle, then you need to prioritize protein. That's just the bottom line. And it also depends on how active you are. Again, 10,000 steps a day. You should be lifting at least 3 days a week. These are all choices that somebody can make. So if you're not seeing any changes and you're doing all of those things, prioritizing your nutrition, not cutting everything out. No one can cut everything out. And that's what I'm saying. I hold people accountable for attainable choices, attainable decisions. And whatever that means for you, if you want to go to an extreme and you want to cut out everything for like 2 months and of course you're going to lose weight, but can you hold that for more than 2 months? Can you? That's a great question. A lot of people can't. But I mean, a lot of people will do that to maintain. Like I'm in my maintaining phase. So I can fluctuate more than the average. Like, I had 2 glasses of wine last night, So I mean, but usually I worked out for an hour and a half this morning.
Right. Exactly.
So, I keep my active lifestyle the same thing. And like you had said earlier, it's about creating a different lifestyle. It's a healthy lifestyle. Coming in for an hour a day, 5 or 6 days a week, but then nothing else in your life has changed for the better, you're not going to see any changes.
Yes.
Agreed. You're not. And you really got to talk to whoever your trainer is. And like, I do have people that, talk to me about the nutrition aspect of it. And it's hard, as a mom, or if you're working, like sometimes I wake up, I have time for a bar. I have time for a bar at lunch. And then when I can actually sit down and have a meal, I sit down with my family, or I try to, but we're eating fast because Finn's like freaking out in his high chair. I'm like, we have 20 minutes on the clock. Let's go. And then you're scarfing food down your
like
throwing it in your face and you find the healthiest. I did take my time to find some healthy recipes to put in the crock pot to make it easier for me or my husband. So it's just like ready to go. But it just, it's all about what you do for like the other 90% of your life.
I agree. And I used to be one of those people before I had 3 kids, because I think once you have kids, more is at stake in terms of losing yourself. It's easier to lose yourself. So you start to grab on to your identity harder. Harder. Like if this goes, you're gone. So I think I grabbed on to fitness and good nutrition. Before, I would say, and a lot of people listening are thinking and feeling this, like they would say, I work 12 to 14 hours a day. Then I drive home in a commute and I have to help my kids with their homework. And this I'm not even making fun of it. This is for real.
No,
this
that's
is
real shit.
Freaking difficult.
That's real stuff.
And I
People
really
deal
respect
with it.
Absolutely. This is someone's everyday life. And Saturday, Sunday, they don't get to lounge around because if you have kids, you got to take them to piano practice. You got to see their show.
Dude, these baseball games are insane.
Baseball games for
People
days.
are gone for like 6 hours. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious.
Exactly. So
what do we say to people?
But to those people, to those sweetheart listeners of mine, I say, I was that person. And you can't become what you don't see. And when I met you, I saw for the first time there is a way, because you said to me very simple hacks. Mary, if you have to snack, you're really hungry on the go, have some apples with peanut butter. Peanut butter really holds you.
And apples are great for fiber.
And I swear, this might sound ridiculous. At 38, I thought, I've never thought of that snack. Again, I didn't grow up in that, and a lot of people haven't. So you had mentioned something. Oh, you said, if you're really on the go, grab a canned tuna and just open the canned tuna and put it on top of some salad. And it's a protein. Or a boiled egg. Now I boil a couple eggs in the morning just in case things are happening fast. I literally throw a boiled egg in my purse. Sometimes they accidentally crack, get smushed, and start smelling, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. It's protein, girl. It's protein.
It's protein. So there are ways to do it. It is really hard if you are working a 12-hour shift and you're rushing home on starvation mode.
Yes. And I mean, and that's like the nutrition aspect. And then people ask me all the time, look, I have no time to work out. People say this all the time. And my response, some people might not like my response.
Oh boy, here we go. Let's hear it.
You make time. You have to prioritize it. It's like I understand people have hectic schedules. I understand, and that's also where it comes where you have that conversation, that dialogue with your partner. I need 30 minutes right now when I get home. I need 30 minutes before I go to bed. And people are like, well, it's better to work out in the morning. You're going to work out whenever you can.
Yeah.
It could be a walk on your lunch break. It could be a walk when you're on a phone meeting. So it's like it's prioritizing your health, which people do not do enough of. It is the smallest changes. If you're sitting at a desk all day, set a timer on your phone. Every hour, put a timer on. Or alarm, it'll go off and then it will remind you to get up, do some walking, walk to the end of your office, come back. If you're at home, do a lap around the block. It takes 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes. I promise you do. You're just not prioritizing your time enough. You're not being efficient with your time. And of course, that doesn't happen every day, but really all you need is 10 minutes. It's a walk. It's a quick, you could do 3 1-minute plank holds. You're working on your abs. You could do a quick body weighted HIIT workout, which are all over. I have some, they're on YouTube. They're everywhere. And some are only 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and you're drenching in sweat. But what I have to change, okay, but if you're working from home, then don't shower.
Don't change, yeah.
Don't change. It's 15 minutes. If you're at work, of course, you're not going to be doing the heavy lifting. Go for a walk around the block.
Right.
Just stand up. Do some high marching in place. Grab a band. Keep a band in your desk. There are so many options for people just to prioritize your health. Because you know what? Especially as a parent, your health is not about you anymore. I mean, of course it is. You want to feel good for yourself. Like I enjoy working out. I love the way it makes me feel. That is literally my stress reliever. If I don't work out, I would probably rip my husband's head off. I mean, I'm just saying, but the health is also, if you're a parent, for your children. Don't you want to live long enough to see them have children if that's what they choose to do?
And you want them to see
You being active.
Exactly.
You are literally molding your children. So if they see their parent being active, being healthy, making smart choices for their own lives, then they're going to emulate that. You don't understand how much power you have in the eyes of your child. And it is so important that people understand that. And it is creating those healthy habits. It's not quick fixes. You have these 30-day challenges, all what have you. And I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm saying that it doesn't work for everybody. For me, I have to be consistent, and it has to be a very attainable for longevity for me and myself. I've known people that have done very quick fixes, and then they gain everything back at the end because they didn't learn anything.
Well, speaking of longevity, as you mentioned, and attainability, well, I have to say, so there's all these injectables out now. It's very tempting. I know.
I'm reading the book.
I know you're reading a book called Magic Pill. It's about this epidemic.
Well, yeah, I mean,
is that what should we call it?
He's a journalist, and he was Johann. That was his name. I mean, I'm doing an audiobook. I don't have time to sit down and read a book. So guess what I do? I do audiobooks. So when I'm doing my workouts and when I'm just doing things around the house, it's on in the background.
Another perfect example of finding a creative way to prioritize things like reading and literature.
Yes.
But I haven't read the book, but I know we were discussing about, there's a lot of products out there, very accessible to people. Even if your doctor, there's a lot of them. So there's not one that we're referring to, but in some of them you could get under the table. You don't necessarily, if you have money, you can get it. And it's a weight loss appetite suppressant. I'm not going to lie. It didn't exist when I was pregnant and I had slapped on 50 pounds. I lost the weight the natural way with you and dieting. But if it was out and being marketed then when I had 50 pounds on me that I hated and was feeling disgusting about, I would have really been tempted.
Of course.
I really
Everyone's
would have,
tempted.
Mary, to think that you can walk into an office and get injected and you don't feel like
hungry.
You want to eat. Yeah.
You don't feel hungry.
It's tempting. And maybe a little easier. I just want to preface our conversation coming up right now because it's going to be really controversial what we're talking about. Everybody's talking about it. I mean, celebrities left. Kelly Clarkson was getting slammed for it and for being honest about. Even that is being slammed down now. People who are being honest about using help. It's tempting. The easy way out
is always tempting.
It's human nature to think, wow, maybe I should just inject myself for a couple months and I don't have to deal with this baby weight.
And honestly, Mary, this is the thing about that whole thing. I will never judge. I mean, anyone chooses whatever they want to do with their life. I mean, I'm only partially through this book and I've learned so much. So I highly suggest the Magic Pill. I wish I remembered the author right now, but I mean,
we will pull it up, but let's talk about that because you have some deets on the aftermath because we're in the thick of it. We do not know what's going to happen in 10 years for people who are using this every month.
Yes. I mean, and so here, I mean, just one thing that they did say in the book is that when they did their case study, it's majority of the people, the moment they went off of it, they gained all their weight back. So, and that kind of circles back to what I was saying. It doesn't matter to me if that is what is going to make you feel better. And if that's what you choose to do, then yes, then you should educate yourself and understand how it's going to affect your body. But I cannot stress enough, if you are going to have this extra help with you, which some people need it.
Right. Some people's life depends on it.
Some people need it. And it's like, yes, if like the I forget the word, but let's say you are in the higher BMI, you're obese, and the complications that you're facing outweigh the complications of a medication.
Absolutely.
Then go on it.
You have to. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the bottom line if you are at that point. But it is still, you still have to understand that there is still, are you going to take it then for the rest of your life?
Right. And we don't have data on, it's a new thing. We do not have data on
and if
what
there is,
the consequences
we are not privy. I don't know. I mean, if there is more data out there that, expresses what's going to happen in 10 years, but no one really knows what's going to happen.
No one really knows. But something interesting you mentioned, I want you to touch on was how it was affecting other retail industries. Like,
oh yeah, it was very interesting. So the book was saying that I think it was in Europe, but they were saying like their alcohol sales dropped because a lot of people didn't feel like drinking alcohol when they were on it. The jewelry, industry was getting affected because
no more fat fingers.
People were getting their ring sizes brought down, and it was like I'm assuming eventually and this is why I'm reading the book, it's going to affect the fitness industry.
You think so?
Oh, 100%. But here's the thing. It's like you can do quick fixes, fine. And you know what? You go on something that helps you lose your weight, but still work out. You still need to lift weights, but then that's the hard part because you're not eating. Where's your energy? Like, how are you going to be able to work out? You're going to be a lot more, less intense because you also need to sustain, food is energy. That's what provides you your energy to work out.
And also, like, you could lose all that weight. Just me having grown up with a lot of overweight family members, you could lose 100 pounds, but the bone density, the muscle mass is not there. And you get like the flappy hanging skin, which is also very irritable.
Right.
And that's just not going to fix that.
Right.
Unless you're lifting weights.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's just like,
that's rough. It's a hard situation. I really feel the human part of it, Mary, where it's so tempting. I'm telling you, if I was at that point when I was 50 pounds overweight post third child, it just didn't exist then. I would have really pondered like, should I try to get my hands on it? Who do I know? And
you're not wrong. Everybody's going through that.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has that thought. I mean, sometimes I would have that thought. Like if I was ever to a point where I do not need to lose anything.
Right.
I'm perfect the way I am.
You're working hard for it, yeah.
And it's if you do get to a point, but 5 to 10 pounds, guys, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, but if, so that's one aspect of it.
So that's where it's getting a lot of controversy, that it is being used for some people are injecting themselves to lose 5 pounds.
Yeah.
So the line is getting really murky.
Yes.
And
I mean, and again, like I had said, if that's what you choose to do, then that's what you're choosing to do. And I don't know exactly for those people, like, okay, so when you get off of it, your 5 pounds are probably going to come back. Do you know how easy people can fluctuate 5 to 10 pounds? Very easily. You can go, and that's why I always say, if you really want to go on a scale, weigh yourself once a week. Don't do it every day.
Why?
Because you're going to fluctuate 1 to 3 pounds almost every day, especially with women bloating when you're on your, period.
Really? Okay.
Your body retains water, sodium. If you had a bad meal, you could be gaining a pound just in like 3 hours. And it's not fat. It's just like water retention or whatever it is for your body at that moment. Once a week.
So you feel like it's best practice, dedicate a day per week, get on the scale to just gauge where you are, right? And kind of checks and balances.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell you the last time I weighed myself.
That shocks me because I have a confession. I do weigh myself every morning because
Mary.
I know. You told me that I
Don't
was being
do
a
that.
bad girl, but somehow after that 50-pound journey, it almost feels like scary to stop doing that. Like I may slip because you could slip and you could go down a dark hole. Like putting on 20 pounds sounds like a lot, but it could happen in 6 months.
I mean, it could happen to me.
It could happen to anyone, right? And for women especially, 20 pounds, it's a lot. You could feel 20 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, yeah, the only time I've weighed myself is if I go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And and then when I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, look at that pound.
Oh my God. When you were pregnant.
I only gained like 20 pounds when I was pregnant. Poor little thing.
Okay.
Was so small.
Okay. So Mary was pregnant, and I think all of her clients, like me, were secretly wondering
if I was pregnant,
if you were gonna blow up like a cow and be a square like the rest of us.
Oh my God, stop it!
Oh my God, I was literally a square shaped pregnant. But anyhow, and I thought, oh my gosh, let's see. It's like an experiment. This beautiful shredded woman,
experiment.
What is going to happen to her? What is she gonna look like pregnant?
And what happened, Mary?
You know what happened? You gave me more courage than ever. Like, obviously you had a belly. That's what's supposed to happen. But you kept up with your routine. And that was beautiful.
Yes. Okay. And my husband still to this day will not leave this down. We ran, we always do a turkey trot in my family. Yes, we are the family.
Oh, you did the turkey trot pregnant.
I was like 8 months pregnant.
Yes. And you like won or something.
No. Okay. Well, I got I think I was like averaging 8-minute miles, and my husband beat me by like
half
1 minute or like a half a second or something. And he's like, I beat you. I'm like, I was 8 months pregnant. I hope you beat me during a fucking 5K turkey trot.
That does not count. At Mary, yes, I was like, I know she did some things then.
No,
that was a marathon you entered.
And with pregnancy, you have to keep moving.
Yes.
Obviously talk to your doctor. But I mean,
but you don't need to sit on a couch and eat potato chips.
Y'all, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like there are attainable exercises you can do, talk to a trainer, but I mean, obviously talk to your physician if you do have, some complications. That's a whole nother thing in that I totally understand. But move your body.
Yes.
Just move.
Yes.
You're not eating for two. You don't need to do that.
Yes.
You just eat to sustain. Of course, you have your cravings and stuff. You want to eat more, which is totally normal. But you have to just move. Just move. And I felt sick the whole time. I hated being pregnant.
Yeah.
I
and
fucking
feeling sick is
it.
miserable.
I literally wrote in a journal every day, do not do this again, in caps. You hated this shit. Don't do it. It's not going to be worth it. And then I have Finn. I'm like, oh my God, he's so perfect. Let's do this again.
I didn't even need
Mother
a journal.
Nature, man. Motherfucking nature.
I know. I felt the same. And then there's a little bit of, I'm glad you brought that up. There is this idea circulating out there, always has been, like Madonna and child, the angels descend and it's supposed to feel glorious. And the pregnancy is supposed to feel like a glow, the pregnant glow. It does not feel that way on the inside. It didn't for me. It doesn't for a lot of women. And I felt scared to say, I'm actually not enjoying, it doesn't feel enjoyable to have sweat between your thighs or hemorrhoids. I can't pretend this is enjoyable. And that's okay. It is okay because you don't have to feel like, you're not you.
Yeah,
you're
it's
not
100%
you for 9 months.
When I hear women there's someone that actually hold pregnancy so well.
And that's good on them.
I cannot believe it. I look at them, I'm like,
good on them.
Dude, how?
It wasn't me. All 3 times.
How?
I was what you said.
Well, you had 3. I've had 1. And I was like, never again.
I said that each time.
Never again.
And the
Sergey.
Yeah. No, the 3rd time, we're not going to rely. Sergey is clearly unreliable. We had the surgeon tie my tubes. So it is officially never again.
You're like, nope, no thank you.
He actually said, it's really funny, the surgeon, the OB-GYN surgeon said, I think it's time to tie your tubes during the C-section. I said,
you're like,
yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
you. You can tuck a little extra skin if you want to too. Why not?
No, he didn't. He didn't, but I had you for that. I worked out and I pushed for it, but I was also really lucky to find someone. I can't emphasize how important it is. It's like when you are looking for a great coach for your kid, right? Like tennis coach, baseball coach. And it makes all the difference because your kid could either really want to go or not. It makes all the difference. I had that journey with you. I was going and I was on autopilot and I wanted to make changes in my life. And it wasn't just physical, it bled into the mental, of course. And I wasn't seeing the changes, but I was also with trainers that were on autopilot. You feed off the energy. So I can't encourage people enough. If they're on that autopilot and they're paying and they're showing up, it just feels like here's another day. You can find something that works. You don't have to stay there if you're not seeing any change.
Or even having a dialogue behind it. And a lot of trainers will not communicate with you. I don't know. I've had some, I watch people in the industry and you can hit some really amazing trainers out there that truly care about you. Like I truly care about everybody that I work with. And that's also why I don't bring on a lot of people at one time.
Right.
I'm very
meticulous about it.
I'm very specific, and it's like, and I also use a lot of my other time outside. People don't understand when you're a trainer. It's not just about that hour you're paying for. You're paying for an entire program. You're paying for research or if you have an orthopedic concern, like if you have an injury of some kind, like there are things that you have to look up. I call friends, I call people I know in the industry. What do you do with this? There's a lot that goes into that hour. So, even like circling back about cost, you're paying for that hour and you think you're only paying for that hour, but really you're paying for like 5 hours for a week.
You're so right. And I really want to wrap up with that because that is a big one for me. So that's what I used to think, right? Because I would show up at another place and autopilot, But when I came to you, something really cool happened and it shifted into my lifestyle. You said, what do you want? What are you looking for? What are you trying to achieve, right? You asked me, I had to verbalize it. That was, a lot of people don't really verbalize it. So I verbalized
you have to talk about it.
So you first made me verbalize it. And then you came to me and you're like, here are the 3 stages. And I was like, what stages? There's stages, phases? And that was a very new thing. And in that moment, I realized, wow, this is a very intentional, well, it can be intentional. It can also be unintentional. It was a very intentional process. You had phases and stages. I want to give an example of that. Like I don't remember the specifics. You probably do. For example, be like, in this 3-month block, we are lifting at this level. In the next and running at this speed. In this next 3-month block.
Oh yeah, Mayor's training for a marathon.
Yes. But you just give me a little glimpse about how you block it out. So we see 1 year into the future. I'm not just coming today for an hour and calling it a day.
Right.
That was very interesting. I don't think most people have had that experience.
No, I mean, and if they do, I mean, great. Then you found a good trainer.
So tell us a little bit about how you map out the year for the client. That's
well,
very
the
cool.
first thing, obviously you have a phone consultation, and if it's usually word of mouth, and sometimes you don't have a phone consultation because oh, we know somebody that knows you and you're amazing and blah blah blah,
and you're in.
Okay, good, great.
There is a password that you have to say for Mary. She will not take you.
I know. We can't say it out loud though.
I can't say it out loud. All right, go on. Okay.
Okay. So very quickly. So they have their initial consultation, their initial meet with me, because also I believe that training is very organic. It's about chemistry. If I don't vibe with you or you don't vibe with me, there's nothing personal taken. We're just not going to work well together, and that's fine because I push you. You want to cuss at me? Fine, do it. I don't care. You want to cry a little bit, which has happened before? Cry a little bit. That's cool. But so that first initial hour, I'm assessing where you're at. And then I base that initial session on either 6 to 8 week blocks of time. So, you work on the fundamentals.
Okay.
If you don't know how to fucking squat, I'm not throwing weight on your ass.
Right.
No. You're going to hurt your fucking self. Right?
Yes. There's a New York accent. Go on.
There it is. And it's if you don't know how to do a bicep curl, what? Hello? There's just basic stuff. So, honestly, it could be very monotonous in the beginning, which is like gymnastics. You got to learn the technique.
Right. But there is a roadmap. You have a roadmap.
Yes. Roadmap, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You reassess, you do heavier lifting, you see where you're at in amount of reps, and then you take it from there. You go into the next 8 weeks. But that's also me as a trainer because once you start, but the hard thing is that sometimes people plateau.
Sorry about that.
And sometimes, I know, and sometimes people plateau. And that's also part of the process too. Sometimes things could take years. Everybody is different, and Mary, you are one of the most amazing women I've ever met. You're hardworking. You have amazing willpower. You take the hour with me and you're fucking there. There is nothing else that matters. You're focused on what you want to do. And even if it takes you 2 years, you're still going to fucking work for 2 years, and you got very lucky in your sense because you had the ability, you have that natural willpower and that natural, infectious disease or infectious energy.
I do not have an infectious disease.
That infectious love for life. Not a disease.
The wings of our sick subconscious are surfacing. But
I misspoke.
Oh
but
my gosh.
you just have you are so infectious and people love to be around you and you have such a beautiful heart and it shows even when you're working out.
Thank you.
It really does I always sometimes see the way people work out and push themselves to be very uncomfortable. That's probably how they're approaching life.
Yes. And Mayor, to end it,
yes.
You talked about New York is special because of that energy, that high level energy. That's the same here with you. I think we all go into things and we think we're buying a service. We're really buying energy. Because I take that energy and it carries me through the day. And you brought that energy. Well, you take that energy everywhere, but you brought it here today for this podcast. Thank you so much for putting it all out there.
Oh my gosh, of course, Mary.
All
so
out there.
fun.
You brought the New York accent with you.
I know. I didn't even mean to. It came out.
I know. I was hoping it would surface. And thank you for sharing all your wisdom with me, with listeners, because it is a hurdle for a lot of people in their lives. Yes. And this, I think, is going to be very helpful. So I love you.
I love you too. That was so fun.
And I'll see you for our next workout.
Yes, we will.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao, everyone.
Dear listeners, if you like what you heard, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and follow me on my journey on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time.